So guess what? We still have astronauts from Boeing still at the International Space Station. And the big question I was thinking about this week was, given that we have about 30% more humans on the space station, how are the resources being managed? And the first one is about oxygen, because we need to have oxygen for them to live. And let's see what we can learn from there. So here, if you look at the information we've got, so on July 18th, so 2 days ago, they did some Starliner thruster ground testing. It was complete and they are reviewing data. So here we have astronauts, private astronauts from Boeing leaving the planet in early June. I think it was June 5th. They went to the space station. They were supposed to be there for a week, and they've noticed some difficulties with the helium leak, and there was some difficulties with thrusters. And what happened is that they decided to do some checkups since they were there to make sure that the return of the astronauts will be safe, which is very important. But as we are having this capsule there with two more humans, then I was thinking there more resources are being needed. So here we have one astronaut, Tracy Dyson. So what are the astronauts doing right now? They're doing some cleanup. They keep on doing their experiments. They keep doing their physical activities. And they were doing, so here, this is the Expedition 74 with 7 current astronauts. And they have two new ones from Boeing. We have what we call the Progress 87. And Progress 87 is when you have ships that are sent to ships that are not that do not have humans, but are sent to the space station for resupply. So they were sent. So this one was sent on February 14th with a Soyuz rocket. And what happens is that it's supposed to leave the space station with garbage and detritus and debris that they don't need, finished experiments. And they're putting all the garbage back in a capsule that is supposed to leave in August back to Earth. So people are being busy, however, keeping in mind that there's a lot more humans there and it's using a lot more resources. And one of the resources that I've been looking into is oxygen. So this is an experiment. I'm going to put the link under. So we have to make sure that we have breathable air in the space station. So here I have this nice graph that we're going to look at together. So this whole graph here outlines what's going on with respect to the breathable atmosphere. So let's see. So here I'm going to start here with the pinkish color right here, and it goes like that. So let's see if I can make this even bigger for you. There you go. So first of all, humans need oxygen. We need oxygen because the oxygen is mixed with the nitrogen in the breathable air, and then we have the astronauts and cosmonauts breathing. Now keep in mind that the nitrogen is not being used when we breathe. However, they're doing some experiments with plants and so on, so there's a variation in the nitrogen content, so they need to control it, but they also need to control the oxygen in the breathable air. And how do they get that? They have oxygen generation from the drinking water that they have. So they have a whole section on processing water to create drinking water. And some of that water is using hydrolysis. Hydrolysis, there you go. And the energy from the solar panels to transform water into oxygen. And then the excess hydrogen is being pushed away. Now, keeping in mind that this kind of is interesting because once we have humans on the moon or Mars, we're going to use the same process where we're looking for water, because when we have water, we can use hydrolysis to create oxygen that we know, that we need. But also, instead of letting the hydrogen go, we can actually recombine hydrogen and oxygen together to create heat. Because once humans are on the moon, they need breathable oxygen, but also heat because it's cold there. Perfect. So the breathing air segment is taken care of. So once they breathe in and exhale, few things need to happen. First of all, we're going to go into the greenish section where as you breathe in and exhale, you are exhaling some some water and its humidity. And you must have noticed sometimes if you go in the winter, for example, when I breathe out, you have a little fog in front of me, or if it's cold outside and you breathe on the window, you see some fog happening, some condensation happening on glass. So when humans are exhaling, we have a humidity control that are extracting through condensation the humidity in the air, and then they send back breathable air that is drier for the astronauts and cosmonauts. What happened is that this condensate goes to the drinking water pool. On top of that, we have a lot of humans breathing, so they need to also process the air. So the air goes in, they look for contaminant, either from experiments they're doing or otherwise. They filter the atmosphere, the breathable air. They remove carbon dioxide that is being pushed out, and then they bring back the air that is breathable back in the cabin. Keeping in mind that here the CO2 removal is important, because if there's too much CO2 in the atmosphere, people can have a carbon dioxide poisoning. So that's something to look into. So we have all done this, the right side of this graph. Now, as humans, we all eat, we also drink. So what happens is that we have waste, solid waste, and we also have liquid waste. So there's a process to take solid and liquid waste, and they process it in order to extract the water that is there. So when they extract the water is put back into the drinking water for the astronauts. They're probably using something like a freeze drying the waste. Freeze drying extracts the molecules of water, but nothing from the solid waste. And indeed, this will be purified to make sure that the drinking water is not polluted in any ways. Because if you look at the end here, the drinking water is used as well to wash, because that's important, to drink, which is important. In any ways from here goes back into the processing areas and making sure that water is there. So when we send resources into the space station, one of the ones we need to send is water, because water allows for drinking, but also allows for part of the food they eat, but also create the oxygen. And I thought that was interesting, knowing that we have 2 more astronauts on the space station, and we need to make sure that everybody stays safe. So when they send new resources and resupply the space station, I'm sure that they are bringing more water, and because it's needed for the oxygen. And second, some of that, the processed waste are all being sent there. And this is what is happening. So this is one example. I'm sure it's not just her, it's all of the humans in there. So here we see her that she's looking at all the food wraps. And I'm not sure if this is just piling up the waste, but they're going to fill out the capsule and send it back to Earth. And I thought it was interesting. I wanted to share that with you. I think this is something that is always fun to look into. On this, I'm going to put a link here to another video that you will enjoy, because you'll be able to learn something new. And I'll use a video that I did a couple weeks ago on what's happening to space exploration. I'll see you there.